So should you track your calories? Personally, I do not track my calories at this point. And the reason I've stopped tracking my calories is because I did track my calories. Okay, so what I mean is when you track your calories for so long, you end up getting a good idea for portion sizes and certain foods. And especially if you're anything like me and you pretty much eat the exact same thing every day with a few minor variations, you know what is a certain amount of calories. You know what 200 calories of chicken breast looks like, or 200 calories of white rice, or how many eggs is on a certain plate if it's scrambled, or how much is in a pack of ground beef. You just know these things because you've been tracking for so long. There's only so many foods in the grocery store. So even if you did eat something new every day, if you track your calories for a good year or two, eventually you're going to be good to go. But most people, you have a certain rotation of foods that you eat every given day. So whether it's 4 or 5 different kinds of meats, 4 or 5 different types of carbs, maybe some veggies, some accessories like peanut butter, yogurts, berries, things like that. After a year or two, you're going to have a good idea of how many calories each food is. So my recommendation would be, if you're just starting out your lifting journey, or if you want to make a body composition transformation, whether it be gaining weight or losing weight, track your calories at the start. Not only is it going to guarantee that you actually get results because you're not guessing, but you're going to build the skill up so that you can then not have to do it eventually. Not to mention, it's a great tool to have for the rest of your life, basically, because the reason why so many people are overweight and they can't lose weight is simply just a lack of information, in my opinion, because obviously there's a genetic component to some people being obese, but I highly doubt that these people actually have the skill of tracking their macros. Even if you can call it a skill, it's not really a skill. It's just a simple habit. You just got to find a calorie app, download it, start punching in numbers. Even though it's not the most accurate thing in the world, like food labels are always going to be off a certain percent and you can't perfectly track your output of calories. It's going to nail it down to a certain window wherein you're going to be pretty accurate and you'll still get the result. So even with that said, think about if you never track and you don't even have that skill developed of understanding how many calories is in a certain portion of food. That's a recipe to be overweight and never get your body composition goals. So having that skill under your tool belt is going to be valuable for the rest of your life. So yeah, I highly recommend doing it if you're just starting out. It's not forever. It'll be annoying at first. It'll feel like a chore. But once you start to see results from it, you're going to enjoy it because it's going to be a positive feedback loop. You track your calories, you get the certain amount that you need every day, you lose weight or you gain weight, whatever your goal is. And then, like I said, after that year or two, you can give it up. You're pretty much eating the same foods every day, which most healthy people do anyways. You're going to know exactly what you're eating and you're going to be able to achieve your body composition goals. You're also going to know what calorie amounts cause you to lose weight and gain weight. You're going to get a good idea of what your maintenance is, even though it's going to fluctuate. Like I said, this is never going to be a perfect science anyways. It's all about being just as accurate as you can. So once you've tracked for 1 or 2 years and you've gone through multiple phases of maintenance, gaining, and cutting, you know what weight is going to be kind of equated to what calorie maintenance. So for example, if you started overweight and let's say you started at like 220 pounds and you're like 20% body fat and your maintenance was like 3,700 calories, for example. And then you slowly went through a cut down to 180. So a big cut down to 180 where you're now like 13% body fat, give or take. I'm just using random numbers here. You're consuming 2,400 calories a day. That's what maintains your weight at 180. And if you want to cut even further, then you have to go down to 2,200, whatever. Let's say you did go all the way down to 170 and now you're 10% body fat, or you're around what your leanest would be. So you have your heaviest at 220 and your leanest at 170, whatever the body fat percentage is. When you're at 170, you know exactly how many calories you had to eat to get there. Let's say it was 2,000. You had to go as low as 2,000. That's what got you to 170. Next time you bulk to say 190 or 200, or even if you bulk all the way up to 220, you know exactly where you need to be to get down to 170. Whether you want to drop there immediately and do an aggressive cut, or you want to slowly get there, you know, okay, I got to drop it below 3,600. That's my maintenance at 220. Let me go down to 3,000. That'll drop me to whatever, 205, 210. Then I'll go down to 2,700 and slowly work my way to 2,000. That's going to get me down to 170. And you know every way in between that, what weight is going to equate to about what calorie amount. 180 might be 2,400, like I just said. 190 might be 2,800. 200 pounds is like 3,200, right? You know exactly where you need to be. So you can also auto-regulate it, like I said, if you want to do an aggressive diet. So if you're at 220, drop it to 2,000, you know that's going to aggressively get you closer to 170 than if you just drop it down by a couple hundred. These are all things that you're going to learn as a result of tracking your calories for a good 1 to 2 years and manipulating your body composition. It's a skill that you're going to develop, and it's a valuable skill to have for a lifetime. Now, when it comes to things like eating out or fast food, I don't recommend tracking this. Again, it's just something that you're going to have to accept on that day. Sometimes restaurants have calorie amounts beside their dishes, but I highly doubt they're accurate, especially with all the cooking oils they use, which is why I wouldn't recommend eating out often anyways. But when you do, just account for a surplus that day, or account for a scratch day. I don't know, a day where you're kind of off plan. It's okay. You just get immediately back on it the next day. It's not a super big deal. But to summarize, yeah, I'd recommend, if you've never done it before and you're not too familiar with how macronutrients work, how many calories per gram there are in each macro, you're going to learn a ton of valuable things by tracking them for a good year or two. I keep saying that amount because I think that's when you're really going to get a good feel for it, and then graduate from not having to do it anymore. That's what worked for me, so I just assume that's probably what's going to work for most people. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.